Okay, this is a video tutorial on getting started in coding with Python. It follows on from a previous video and accompanies a blog series that I'm doing. I'm going to start with finding idle. So just go to your start menu if you're in Windows and choose idle. If you're on Mac or Linux, they'll be in similar places, and apart from that bit, everything else will be the same. So I'm going to start by creating the new file. I'm going to split them evenly on my across my displays like that. And then you will need to save this file. Save it anywhere. The name doesn't matter. It just has to be saved. Okay, so we're going to start with the basic Hello World program. Now what you can see there is what you might type if you just wanted to say hello world to somebody with an exclamation mark, writing an essay, writing a letter, anything else. And actually it's not that different in Python. And this is all this program does. It outputs the words hello world to the screen. So I'm going to type the word print. Now I've opened a bracket or a parentheses. Every time you do that you need to close one. I'm going to add quotations in the middle. Again, if you open quotations or speech marks, you must close them. And now I'm just going to add those words into the middle. There's two options I can do to run this. I can either press the F5 key, or I can go to run and run module, which you'll see says press the F5 key. It'll ask me if I want to save it. Okay. And then it will output the words hello world into the shell window. This window is the shell window. This window is the script window. Okay, so if I wanted to turn that into multiple lines of code, I can add a second line, and this second line is exactly the same. It's just a print, brackets, speech marks, text, close speech marks, close brackets. And I also want to point out the fact that when I typed the word print, the colour changed. That's called syntax highlighting. If you see the colour change like that, you know that it's part of a command or it's part of speech. From different code editors have different colours. However, the consistency is that it breaks the text up into commands and other sections using colour. So once again, if I run this, I'm going to press the F5 key this time. It's restarted. We have hello world. This is a great day to do some coding. Now, that's all well and good, but we could do that just by typing 2 lines of code in this window here. We need somewhere to store data, and we need some way of taking an input. I'm going to start with storing data. We store data in an item called a variable. Now, a variable is a bit like a box. You get a box, you stick a label on the box, and then you put stuff you want to store in the box inside it. So I'm going to create a variable called name. The equal sign means that I'm going to assign something to that variable or store something inside it. So I've stored the words Sarah Payne inside the variable called name. And now I do print, and this time you can see the difference. We've got the name is still black because it's not a recognised command. And if I wanted to just do it manually, I could type that in here like this, like you saw before. Instead, I'm going to put name. So what it will do is it will look at the variable called name, which is here, and it will print whatever is stored inside it. So if I run this again now, we can see that what its output is my name, not the word name. So let's just rehash that terminology. We have a variable. We are assigning the words Sarah Payne to that variable, aka we are storing it inside, and then we are printing the contents of the variable. Just to make this possibly a little bit clearer, that I can do it this way, but in this case I'm creating the variable name. Now, the second stage, I am assigning the words to the variable name. It's exactly the same code. The only difference is in the first instance, this stage is all done in one. It just makes the code simpler to read, but the principle is exactly the same. You create the variable, you assign a value to it, and then you can use it. So, how do we take an input? Okay, we've done that, but actually we've just seen that we could just, if we wanted to, when I find my mouse, there we go. If we wanted to, we could just put that in there directly like that. So in this format, other than as a demonstration, it's pretty pointless. So let's have a look at another option. Based on what we've done so far, if I wanted to ask for somebody's name, I might do print what is your name? Now, we already know how to create a variable, so I'm going to use the same name. Again, that variable name could be anything, it's just sensible to you so that we know what it is, what it represents. Again, open parentheses, close parentheses. And then we're going to print the variable name, which will give us the contents. I'm going to run it a couple of times so you can see the difference. So I typed that in, and then I pressed the return key, or the enter key, and then it printed out my name. Now if I run this again asking for the information. So it's taking what I've typed, the input from the user, storing it in this variable called name, and then printing it. However, we can simplify that in the same way that we combined little bits before to make it look easier to read. I can just put that into there and get rid of the print statement altogether. And this is going to do exactly the same thing. So if I run this again now, well, almost exactly. But you can see that we've got this cursor over here, and it's not as obvious what I'm supposed to be doing. It still works in exactly the same way. It still takes the input, it stores it in the variable name, and then it prints out the contents of the variable name. There are a couple of ways that we can fix this. One of them would be to just put a space at the end here. Actually, a question mark would probably help as well. Run module. And you can see it's a space, so it just makes it a little bit easier to read. The other thing that we can do instead of that is a \n. \n is a special character that gets replaced by a next line character. Next line characters are found in all sorts of things, word processing documents like in Microsoft Word, and it is possible to actually turn it on so that you can see them all at the end of every line. So that if I run this again now, you can see we're back on to the original 2 lines, which was a lot easier. Okay, so we've covered outputting or printing text into the shell. We've covered creating a variable, storing data in that variable. We have covered taking input from the user and storing it in a variable. Again, always printing it out afterwards. What we're going to go look at now is ways in which we can join these pieces of text, otherwise known in coding as strings. In coding, a piece of text is known as a string. So, exactly the same thing. I'm creating a variable. I'm going to assign the value Sarah to it. I'm going to create another variable and I'm going to assign my last name to it. So I have a variable called first name, a variable called last name. And I'm going to give myself a print function. And there's a few ways we can do this, but I'm going to do this one first. And I'm going to run it so you can see the output. Now, as you can see, it's combined them, or more accurately, concatenated them. However, there's no space here. And there are a number of ways that we could fix that. The first way is I could add in space in the middle like that. And we can see there is now the space there because I've joined a little string or piece of text in the middle that is just a space character. I could also have included it in this initial string here. Similarly, I could add it there. Oh, it doesn't really matter which of those ways you choose. Any of them will work. There is, however, another version, and this one is relatively specific to Python. It doesn't translate to other coding languages, and it will only work inside the print statement. What I can do is that, and just put a comma there, and that will also add the space. Finally, one more to show you, and this will only work if you use the plus operator with concatenation rather than this Python special one. I can create a third variable, it might be called full name, and I could do first name plus space plus last name. And then what I will print is full name. So in this case, I've created a third variable and I've made that third variable equal to the first name with a space put on or concatenated onto the end, and then the last name concatenated onto the end of that. And then we print the contents of full name. Okay, so let's extend this idea a little bit further. What about taking multiple inputs? So we're going to go back to our string name and we're going to assign an input to it. What is your name? Let us ask a second question. What is your age? And now we're going to combine some text and what's stored in these in a single print statement. And we've already seen kind of how this is going to work a few minutes ago. So, your name is, I'm going to put a space, and then we'll put name, space plus space, some more text, and you are. And now I need to readjust my windows here. And I'm going to add an extra space in there. Remember that when we're using these concatenation methods, we do need to handle the spaces. Age. So, if I run this now, oh, so I've called myself Sarah Payne. Well done, Sarah. Okay, anyway, what is your age? I'm not 100, but you never know, I might get there one day. So we can see what it's done because I typed in that. But actually, look, we've got no space there. What I should have done is have a space in there. So let's just run that again. So let's do this properly. So let's put, and you are 100. And you might want to make that a little better. You could add a colon there. Now, quickly show you a different way. So I'm going to put a hash symbol at the start here. All the hash symbol does is it means that when it's run, it will ignore that line. Because I'm going to take this bit here and this is the comma version that we used before. If I run this now, you can see it works in pretty much the same way, but it's shorter and it's probably easier to read. It's just got other limitations. You can use either this way is synonymous or will work across all programming languages. This way here will not. This will work in Python and only inside the print statement. Because there are other ways that I could build this up. For example, I could make a variable called output. And we could start by saying your name is. And there's another way of doing this joining or this concatenation. and that's with the plus equals. And what this will do is it will do just this. It will do just this first bit. It'll do that bit, and then it'll concatenate that. But we do need to either put the space in here, or possibly to make it clearer, so we're going to set the original output is your name is, then we're going to concatenate the space onto the end, then we're going to concatenate a name, then we're going to concatenate another space, we're going to concatenate another space, age, and now what we do is replace all of that with output. Well, it's exactly the same way, and I could have combined these like I did before. So space plus name, space plus space. All of these are exactly the same thing, just different ways of writing the same code. Okay, thank you for watching. This has been a short introduction to using print, input and text concatenation in Python